Hey mamas, welcome back to Black Mamas Do Science. Today we have an experiment from our friends at C-STEM, and so we will be making glow-in-the-dark burping bubbles. So get excited. Hey mamas, okay, so the ingredients for this experiment are super easy, and they are actually very similar to a previous experiment we've done before, our lava lamp experiment. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check that out. But luckily our friends at C-STEM gave us everything that we needed in our kit, and so I am super grateful for that. So the ingredients that you need for this experiment is oil, and so I just use cooking oil, vegetable oil, but you can use any kind of oil. You will need food coloring, and they provided green food coloring in a cool test tube, so we kept that. That was pretty cool. But you can just use any kind of food coloring. Don't use gel food coloring. I don't think it'll work as well. Then you will also need alka seltzer tablets. I think I've done a couple experiments with alka seltzer tablets, so if you like these experiments, just keep them on hand. Apparently I use them a lot. And then the last thing you need will be tonic water. So pull out those ingredients, mamas. Okay, mamas, so always with all of our experiments, we recommend that parental supervision is advised. So make sure if you have older kids that you are watching over them, that they're not just doing this by themselves. We don't want anybody to get hurt or anything. Okay, so I am actually going to do the experiment separately from Dax first so that y'all could get a nice close-up of what it'll look like. But for actually doing it with Dax, I decided to make it bigger so that he can kind of see the reactions a little bit better. And so I went ahead and just poured my cooking oil into the jar that you have, depending how big your jar is. You want to make sure it's 3/4 full. And then the other thing I did, well, that's all I did, really. I sat down with him. He's getting a little bit older, so I'm giving him a little bit more control and letting him pour things into him, where earlier, if you were watching us, I was like putting everything into small little jars so that he would not like throw things or dump them over on the floor. And so he's getting a lot better with actually pouring things. When I say like pour it in this bucket, so I just poured the oil in there because it was a big jug and I didn't want him to dump cooking oil all over my floor. And so if you have younger kids, I would kind of prep everything, put the tonic water in another, like a squirt bottle or something, and you can have them squirted in there. And that's what I did previously in our lava lamp experiment. But this time I'm gonna sit down with Dax and we're gonna do it all together at the table. And so once you have your cooking oil in your jar, you will pour the rest of your jar filled up with your tonic water. And so if you haven't seen our glowing ice experiment, we go into what is tonic water and how cool it is. And so once you fill up your jar with your tonic water, what we did next was you pour your food coloring in. So you'll see in the experiment that I did separate from Dax, I just went ahead and used the green food coloring that C-STEM provided for us. But when we sat down together, me and Dax, I decided like, hey, let's mix some colors together because we are still working on our colors. And so if you are working on your colors with your kids, I think this would be a great opportunity for you to go ahead and try to, say this is red, this is blue, and let them dump it in. I don't think it'll hurt. And so go ahead, put your food coloring in. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and I broke apart my alka seltzer tablets. And this is the tip that I have for you. So pro tip. You want to, the experiment is going to be cool if you try alka seltzer tablets in a lot of different ways. So break them up, or you can put a whole tablet, you can put 2 whole tablets, You can do this experiment as much as you want, because once the Alka-Seltzer tablets dissolve, you can just keep adding it, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving. So what I did was I broke apart one tablet, and then I had another tablet that was whole, just so we could try it out. And so Dax was dumping in the pieces of Alka-Seltzer tablets. And so previously in our lava lamp experiment, I didn't close the jar to see how the Alka-Seltzer tablet would react with the water and the oil. But this time I wanted to see that. So when we dropped our Alka-Seltzer tablets in there, I hurry up and closed the lid to see what would happen. And so in the smaller experiment that I did, when I dropped a lot of Alka-Seltzer inside of the tube, it actually popped off. And so I was not expecting that. I will tell you that. I was not expecting for it to pop off, but I could tell. I was like, oh, it's getting kind of close to the top, and then all of a sudden, poof. And so with the mason jar, I was like, oh, please do not let this explode all over my floor. But it didn't. And so, but we could tell that the more Alka-Seltzer tablets we added in there before the others had completely dissolved, the more pressure that was building up inside of the mason jar. And so Dax, that I will say, that was his favorite part, because he kept walking back to the kitchen like, come on, Mama, where's the rest of the Alka-Seltzer tablets? So he really enjoyed that part of the experiment. And then if you want to try with your kid, just letting them see how it is with the jar open, you can let them try that out or close it. Just try it a whole bunch of different ways. That is exactly what we did. You learn a lot from just experimenting. Okay, mamas, so while your Alka-Seltzer tablet is still going and it hasn't completely dissolved yet, go ahead and turn off the lights and use a black light flashlight to shine on your experiment, because this is the cool part. Since we use tonic water, it is going to glow in the dark. So your burping bubbles, that's a mouthful, burping bubbles, will now glow in the dark. And so the tonic water will, it shines blue, so it'll look like a highlighter blue color. And so we'll get into all of that cool stuff, like why does tonic water glow in the dark, and then also why the bubbles keep moving with the Alka-Seltzer right after this. Hey mamas, this is our reminder. If you have not liked and subscribed and shared this video, please do. We really appreciate all the love and support we've gotten from everybody, and just thank y'all so much. We are so grateful for y'all. Okay mamas, so this is the science behind our burping bubbles that glow in the dark. So when you added your oil to your jar and then you put the tonic water, you notice that the oil sat on top of the water, and that is because it's less dense. Basically, it's not as heavy as the water. But then you added your colored, your food coloring, and the food coloring basically weighs the same as the water, so it sank all the way to the bottom with the water. But when you added your Alka-Seltzer tablets, as it dissolves, it creates carbon dioxide air bubbles, basically, that start to rise to the top. And as it rises to the top, it pulls along your colored water all the way through the oil. And so as the Alka-Seltzer tablet dissolves, it'll keep bringing the water up until it's completely gone. And then once it stops, then everything will settle where it naturally is supposed to settle. So you'll see your oil go back on top and your water go back at the bottom. So as I said before, when we added our Alka-Seltzer tablet and closed the lid, we noticed that the gas was not able to escape like, if you had it open. So it created a little bit of pressure inside of the jar, which is kind of like when you shake up a Coke and you open it up and it fizzes everywhere. So the carbon dioxide isn't able to get out of the bottle and it kind of burst. That's kind of how it felt like when the alka seltzer tablets were in there. And especially the more alka seltzer tablets in there you add, the more carbon dioxide you're gonna add. And if you close the lid, the more pressure will be inside of it. So just be mindful of that. Don't add like 8 alka seltzer tablets in a small jar, that it might explode. So what actually makes your burping bubbles experiment glow in the dark is the tonic water. So the tonic water has this ingredient called quinine. And so if you watched our glowing ice, I didn't know how to pronounce that ingredient, and apparently I still don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, it's spelled Quinine. And so that is the ingredient inside of your tonic water that is going to make it glow. And it actually emits back out blue light. So that's why you'll see this like highlighter kind of bluish light when you shine the black light on it. Okay, mamas, that's our experiment for this week. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And thank you so much again to our friends at C-STEM for providing this really cool experiment for us. Let us know how many alka-seltzer tablets you dropped in your jar. I think we dropped 4, but y'all count it and let us know how many we dropped down there. And thank y'all again so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.